me back that feeling, yeah, again. You give me back that feeling, yeah, again. I want you just to shout it out. Ain't giving up, we give it out.
Sharing your stories and playing your songs on Graham's JFDI Show.
Hello, we're back. Thursday night, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. in the UK, I should say. It's actually, well, it's 2 minutes past now. Apologies. It's actually 2 minutes past 9 in the Netherlands. And tonight's guest is joining us from the Netherlands. So listen, we'll no mucking about tonight, okay? I'm going to introduce you to someone that I met at the Wim Hof Instructors reunion at the beginning of March. And I had a wonderful chat. She led the group that I was into the wonderful pool underneath the waterfall at Prešeka, which every Wim Hof instructor, well, most Wim Hof instructors are very fond of, and most will know it. There was a particular reason why I asked her to join the podcast. We had about half an hour chat on the bus on the way back from Prešeka. And I thought I have to invite her to come and have a chat because I know that her story is going to be interesting for everyone. So without further ado, tonight's guest is the owner of something I want to learn more about tonight, something called Mystic Mind Events. And as you've learned, she's also a Wim Hof Method Instructor. So will you please give a big hi G's and a big JFDI podcast welcome to the very wonderful Nicky Hutzezon. And I'm hoping that I've said her name correctly. Hello.
Hi. So
how are you doing? Did I get your name right?
In Dutch, we say Hutzezon, but it translates very well to Hutzezon.
Yes, you told me that as well. So you've got Scottish roots, don't you?
Yeah, I do actually.
Wonderful. So Hutzezon.
Yeah, that's good.
Was that my best Dutch?
No, I think you did good, but Dutch it's such a difficult language for foreign people. It really is. We have very strange intonations.
Well, you can maybe teach me some tonight.
Will do.
How would I say in Dutch, welcome to the JFDI podcast?
Welkom bij de JFD podcast.
Oh, so very similar.
Yeah, that sounded a bit alike, didn't it?
Welcome the JFDI podcast.
Yeah, that's good.
There or thereabouts. Okay. Listen, thank you so much for coming on. I am excited to talk about your music choices. What I love about this podcast, what I love about bringing a variety of different guests on is that there's never, in over 70 podcasts, I think the same song's been chosen maybe once or twice.
What song was it?
And so, you know, now you're putting me on the spot. You know Unfinished Sympathy by Massive Attack?
I think I do, actually. Yeah, that's a heavy song.
Yeah, so I think that's been chosen twice, and there might have been, I'm sure there's been an Oasis song chosen twice as well.
I thought since you were talking to Wim Hof instructors, definitely Ice Ice Baby would have been chosen a couple of times.
No, that's not been chosen at all. No, but it's a pretty, well, I mean, I don't know. Have you ever heard anybody play that in their breath work?
No, but I start my workshops with that song, actually.
Do you?
Yeah, because I think it gets this happy atmosphere, you know?
Gets the mood going in the right direction.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I love it. Well, you've given me 5, and I had a little listen to them all. I always do. Always have a listen to them. So let's kick off with the first song that you gave me. If there's a story attached to these, or whether it's just a good song, we'll see where we go with it. So the first song that you've chosen is the theme tune to the film Never Ending Story by Limahl. So what is it about this song that you love so much?
I would say it is more of a feeling thing because I really love the movie, The Never Ending Story, because
Yeah.
it's about this great nothing attacking their fantasy world, and I think it maybe symbolizes depression, and the antidote to that is getting creative and thinking up nice solutions, and maybe have a bit of a dreamy feel to life, and maybe believing in that other things are possible. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So how old were you when you first watched this film then? Or when
I
you
think
first heard the song?
really young. I think 6 years old.
Ah, okay. Okay. So what kind of I guess at 6 years old, what are you seeing and what are you thinking when you hear this song?
I didn't comprehend the whole story, I think, but what I feel is just this cozy feeling, and like that you can imagine things. I was a very imaginative kid, if I can say this like that. So I
Okay.
was always running around in my own world, and the movie starts with a guy reading a book, and he kind of disappears into that book. And I used to always read a lot of books, also when I was young, not 6, I think, though. But yeah, I just loved it.
Did you ever feel like that escapism about escaping into a book?
Yeah, I
Um,
think it's the best way. I think a movie is great, but when you read a book, it's a whole next level because you're almost dreaming up that world.
yeah, yeah. There's something very special about that as well. I don't think it's ever the same when you. I mean, and people say I've said this throughout since I've grown up. That if you read a book, there's not many books that I've read that have been topped by the film. Maybe that's a question for you. Have you ever watched a Have you ever watched a film that's been better than the book?
No, never better, never better. No, no,
It
because
doesn't.
the
It
book
doesn't
gives
happen,
me
does it?
my image, and a movie never really does that.
Yeah, and I think it's always interesting the other way around. If you watch a film and then you read the book after you've watched the film, I think that it makes it different because your mind has pictures from the movie attached to the book, whereas when you read the book, you make, like you say, you create your own pictures in your mind.
Yeah, exactly. I think I've seen Harry Potter 1 and 2, the movies, before I read the books. But I
Right?
think they've done a wonderful job at keeping the story really, in the movies.
Yeah, yeah. So 6 years old when you first heard that song.
Yes.
Now that's maybe a good age. If I mean, I think, I mean, I'm getting old now, but I don't feel it. What would you say, going back, be it 6, 5, 4, or maybe a little bit older? What's your what's your earliest childhood memory? Can you pin like your earliest memory?
Yeah, I can. I think I am sitting in an apple tree, actually, looking over the fields I lived in between, and I'm having a good feeling, and also making up stories in my head. I do it a lot. And
Fantastic.
there's another one that pops up though. When I was really young, I think around that age, like 6 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, my parents would send me to bed quite early, and then when the sun would go down, I would sit in the window and look at the moon.
Oh, and just stare out at the moon.
Yeah, I did.
So around that time, then,
Hmm.
staring out at the moon or in that apple tree, feeling good, happy thoughts. What would you say did you know what you wanted to do? Or right back then, what did you want to do when you grew up? Did you think like what did you want to do? You know, when you were a kid, like that sort of 5, 6 years old, what did you want to do when you were older?
I wanted to be a witch.
Okay,
Definitely. Like a herbalist lady or something like that. I do remember that, telling that to people, that was what I wanted to do.
you wanted to be a witch. Was there any particular reason?
I was really into Harry Potter. I think this helped.
Right.
And my grandma was into herbs and all those things. So that inspired me.
Nice. Okay. And along the way, have you picked up any magic spells that you could share with us?
No, I don't have any magic spells, unfortunately. I wish I did, though. But I think if you look really well, you can definitely see that there's enough magic that lives in life.
Oh, yes, there is indeed. And I think we'll come on to that. We'll come on to that shortly about magic in life. We're talking about magic in life and your childhood growing up. What would you say was the best thing about growing up in the Netherlands? I'm assuming you did grow up in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, I did. I did. But I was very happy when I was able to leave. I personally don't like the Netherlands very much.
Oh,
It is very small and there's lots and lots of people and unfortunately not much nature. So it's not my favorite place. But I was fortunate to live near a forest and I used to play around there a lot. So yeah, I was lucky in that department.
okay. So the general sort of the space and the environment that you had was very, 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 very appealing.
Yeah, my mom used to have I don't know the English word for it, but she had horses on sort of a ranch.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, later in life she lost it very unfortunately, but yeah, that was great.
So tell us about a time back there at that
Hmm.
in that kind of strikes in your mind that just that seemed like the word that you used, magical.
My mom had to feed the horses really early every day, and she would pick me up and put me in the feeding display for the horses, and she would give me like this candy, and like all the horses would come towards me and kind of sniff me, you know. And they have this very special feeling. If you pet a horse on the nose, it's really soft.
Its nose is really soft.
Its nose is very, very soft. And like when you're a child, these noses are like this big, you know, and I was always very fascinated by them.
Yeah, they do. They have such long faces, don't they?
They do.
And what did you feed them?
Well, hay, I think.
I've heard that horses like mints. Is that right?
Do they like mints? I don't know. I only had experiences with horses when I was very little.
Okay. Okay. So nice. Let's. I'm sure we will find out a little bit more about that. Let's move on to song number 2.
Yes.
There's a little bit of a there's a little bit of a there's certainly a mood shift, definitely a tempo shift from Never Ending Story to In This Shirt by the Irrepressibles.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
So is there a story, or is there does this remind you of a time in your life, or
No, there's definitely a story to that song. It's a bit of a crazy story, actually. I I put it in there, but it's not. It doesn't mix well with the other ones, indeed. But I was going through this really dark period in my life, and I didn't really know what to do anymore. And I had my Spotify or anything YouTube on, and this song came about all of a sudden, and it just gave me this really really special feeling, and I ended up dancing in my bedroom alone, and it felt really inspiring. So you don't need that much to be happy. You can just like have your go with yourself and enjoy life, yeah, and let all the bullshit go.
yeah, let all the bullshit go. Yeah, that's easier said than done, isn't it?
Most definitely.
Because we all have a lot of bullshit, don't we?
We do. We do.
And listen, I know, as Wim Hof instructors, we do what we do for a reason.
Yeah.
Because before we wanted to take the message and the healing power to the world, we all benefited from it ourselves, right?
Yes.
So we know that we have ways to let all that bullshit go.
Yeah, but when I heard that song, I wasn't at that point yet.
Ah, you weren't. Okay, so in terms of your in terms of like I guess things that you've had to overcome in life, what would you say is what's the hardest thing you've ever had to do?
Well, there's multiple things coming to mind, but I had a really difficult childhood, like many of us, and I had some really traumatic experiences, and I had a bad drug addiction afterwards, so that was really bad, and then I got a chronic illness, fibromyalgia. So I woke up every day with a lot of pain. So it's kind of a sequence, like in my head. The things you that happen to you in life kind of get stuck into your body as well. So I think with my chronic illness that kind of happened. So I'm undoing all those things.
Right. Okay. So
But that's an ongoing process.
yeah, and it is just like letting go of all of the bullshit. It's an ongoing process. So, if you think of a time back then when you were starting to overcome that,
Yeah.
can you think of what how did that process start? How did you kind of start that healing? Was there a moment amidst, be it like drug addiction or fibromyalgia? Was there a time around then that was
Yeah.
there a moment?
I quit drugs at 18, and I started really young with when I used. And then I had a couple years, everything was kind of okay, but I wasn't really realizing what happened to me. And then I got really sick. So, and I got my dream job, like working for television and everything. But then I got too sick to actually go there. Like I was fainting in the train, and I just had a lot of struggles. So I ended up giving up hope a little bit.
Ah,
And then I found a book. It's called The Celestine Prophecy, by the way. It's a great book.
I've read it.
You know it? You
Yeah,
read it?
yeah.
Okay.
It's all about energy, right?
Yeah. But one of the first chapters, it says you have to look for the coincidences in life. It says coincidence doesn't, really exist. And I got really intrigued by that book. It was like, okay, onto something. And I thought maybe I look into this spiritual healing. And I kid you not, I found a man named Wim, not our Wim Hof, but some kind of witch doctor near my mom's house. And I went there for this healing touch thing, and it didn't do anything for me. And I was like convinced, but it's Wim. It must be like this, because I had the name Wim stuck in my mind. And then I found Wim Hof, and he turned out to be the one that really had some sort of a solution for my problem. Yeah.
Wow. So what? Yeah. So what happened next when you found our Wim?
Yeah. So I went looking at the website.
Sorry. How did that come about? How did you? What Celestine prophecy link here? So what sort of series of events led to you finding Wim Hof? That I love asking Wim Hof instructors that, because everybody has their own unique
Great
sort
stories.
of way. Yeah.
Well, I think there was a little bit time in between. My mom also went for healing to the other Wim, but we all found we had no results. So I was scrolling on Facebook, I think, and then I saw Wim Hof with a breathing session or something, and I was like, he's also called Wim, and I was like, please tell me I don't have to sit in an ice bath. That would be horrible. And I sent the organization a really long email with my list of things I had, and asked them, do you think this method would help with it? And I had this really friendly guy, I won't name him, and he sent me a really long email back, like, yeah, I think you're perfect for it. Why don't you come with us? Because these travels, they're quite expensive. But he gave me like a really big discount so I could come to Spain with them and have the summer travels. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I found out that this shit really works well.
So what happened on the? So you went on the summer travel to Spain
Yeah.
with him,
Yeah, I did.
and what happened? What happened in Spain? How did that? Yeah, I mean, what happened and how did it make you feel?
Great question. I was really nervous, as I am for most things in life. But you're on top of this mountain in Morello de Two. You have a really beautiful blue lake there. And I was waking up and I didn't know what to do. Everybody was going to lay down on top of that mountain on yoga mats. And I didn't even know about the breath work, what we're going to do. So I see all these people and they're breathing very strangely, but I'm like, I'm just going to give it my best. And it was the first time I did it. And I came back from it and I was looking at the same mountain, but it made such a different impression on me. It was so beautiful and it really, yeah, touched me in a way. I sat there crying on a mountain like a child. I had these lovely instructors around me and they were hugging me like, hey, you're going to be fine. And yeah, it was really helpful.
Oh, and so was that you hooked from there? Did it become a daily practice from there, or?
Yeah, it did. And also the eyes. I remember I have this really big French guy behind me who was called Ferdinand Thor. And he was like, Nicky, I don't know. I am a bit nervous. You go first. And but he was really big and not nervous. He was just helping me out. And I sat into the ice for the first time. And I think it was the first time I had silence in my head.
Silence in your head.
Yeah. So I thought it was great.
And so, what would you say about that? What would you say about the cold and how it can bring silence in your head? Because we all have a lot of chatter in there all the time, don't we?
Yeah, we definitely do. But I think we live in a society where we're so much in our mind, because we're always on our phones and doing our jobs, living this 9 to 5 kind of life. So it's a very cognitive process. And when you're in the ice, you just kind of sink down in your body. And I feel like you're more connected, like the brain and heart are better together. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yes. Connect with yourself, others, and nature,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for anybody that hasn't. What would you say to anybody that's not, for anybody that may that might want to quieten down their own mind, but they don't want to step in the cold? What would you say to them?
First, maybe don't judge yourself too harshly. It's something I do a lot, but maybe try to talk in your mind like you are talking to a friend. And sometimes I like consciously try to be a bit more compassionate towards myself, and that can help a lot. But also, I think the pace in where you are has everything to do with the breath. If you're like breathing really high, then you are in the sympathetic, so that's the stress response. And with your breath, you can actually beautifully calm yourself down and sink a little bit back into your body, and that can be really great.
Yeah, it can be. It really, really can be, right? So in terms of stress, in terms of chatter, in terms of what you mentioned there about being your own worst critic,
Yeah.
what how long have you been practicing the method?
I think I was 22 when I found it out. I think 4 years.
Okay. 2020 or 2022?
No, when I was 22 years old.
Oh, when you were 22 years old. Okay, I've got you. I've got you.
Yeah.
So that would be back in 2020?
I think around that time, yeah.
Okay. So around lockdown time, was it?
Yes, it was because we were in lockdown time when I went to the Spanish Pyrenees.
Ah, okay. On the summer travel.
Yeah, yeah. Like everybody else in there who were not people with the Wim Hof group were wearing masks and stuff like that.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did that impact you and your family at the time? How did you cope with being locked away from family and loved ones?
I wasn't. I don't know. Were they really strict in where you are with the rules and stuff?
Yeah, they were quite here. Yeah, depending
Okay.
on where you were and depending on who you were, depends on how much you adhered to it as well.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Because my mother and my grandma, sorry, mom, they're like tinfoil hat people, so they definitely didn't believe in COVID. So they didn't want to stay away, so I could just see them. And my friends have a bar, and it obviously had to close down, but it had a back door, so we went in there, and it was very great. Yeah, I think it was for me actually a fun time because I could spend more time with my friends actually, and find more of my community, because usually we're all at bars or festivals and it's not really so close.
Yeah,
Um, I ended up having a bar time in my house for people who were really lonely because I had several people messaging me like, I haven't heard my own voice in 2 months. I'm like, oh Jesus, this is so heavy. So I started a soup cafe on Mondays, and I had a lot of people in my house, people I didn't know even, and they would just spend time here.
I absolutely love that. I did something, not a soup cafe, but I did something to bring people together during lockdown as well.
What
So
did you do?
what I did, I literally just before lockdown came, I had started. I had a couple of monthly meetings in like a local barber shop, and it was about positive mindset. And then when lockdown came, I did like monthly Zoom calls. I just sort of created like a big Zoom call, and anybody that was like sort of around, we did them on like Friday nights mainly.
Yeah,
It's we started doing it around the time that the rules were really strict over here, so people couldn't go out. So we had a lot of people on the calls, and for some people, it meant that listening to somebody that they hadn't seen for a while was the only way that they could have that interaction.
yeah,
But it seems like what you're saying, like community in itself. I heard you mention that a couple of times there is important to you. So what does community mean to you?
um well, I think connection, and connection is a big value of mine. I think yeah, there's so much separation, and I'm a bit of a spiritual person. I feel like we come all from one source, so yeah, it is important to me, definitely.
Yeah, yeah, we all come from one source. Yes. There's lots of different. I heard this. Do you know the band Public Enemy?
Yes, I do. I don't know any songs from my mind though.
You don't need to know any songs. One of the best lines that I ever heard, and it was I had taken my kids to a festival that they were playing at. My wife wasn't too keen on them listening to many of their songs, but one of the messages that Flavor Flav delivered before the last song was just quite beautiful, and I'll never forget. Can't remember exactly word for word what he said verbatim, but in essence, he said, "Where there's
Oh,
so."
I'm having bad connection.
Oh, can you still hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, we good?
yeah, you're good.
He said, "There's so much separation across the world." He said, and so much talk about race wars. He said, and I don't. He said, why is this the case when on the planet Earth there only exists one race, and that is the human race?
Yeah,
And I love that. So yes, but with so much going on in the world, I think it's great. Community and connection is more important now, I think, than ever before.
yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
my connection is really not everything today.
Before
Ah,
before I'll
I
keep talking.
cannot hear you.
Can you not hear me?
No, now. you're really like, I don't know how to say this in English, but
Robotic.
robotic. Yeah, that's the word, definitely.
I can hear you okay.
Okay, you're back as well now.
Oh, okay. So before we move on to your next song, thinking about what we've been talking about there, what would you say right now, today, what scares you most?
What scares me most? I guess the unknown.
The unknown.
Yeah. One of my biggest fears is like when you're in this water park and it's really dark, and there's like these leaves in the water and you all of a sudden fall down this slide into that water. I dream this a lot. And I figured out maybe it has something to do with intimacy because of the water. But I think it's just the fear of the unknown. Yeah.
Fear of the unknown. I like that though, that a water park and like the fear of like dropping down. So like one of these big kamikaze slides.
Yeah, those ones, or the ones where you're like, I don't know how you say it in English, but this circle thing with the hole underneath, where you
Yeah.
just spin around. But it's always at night and really cold, and I can't really see where I'm going, and all of a sudden I'm just being pushed into those things.
Do you take much from your dreams as well? Do you look into what you're dreaming and kind of analyze that at all?
Yeah, I do, because I'm a very vivid dreamer, and I dream maybe 7 dreams a night. So if the atmosphere in my dreams changes, I really notice that very fast.
Crikey, 7 dreams. Do you
Yeah, a lot.
wake up and write them down? You should write a book.
Oh, no, it's got to be a dramatic book, because I usually don't dream the most positive things. It's like very apocalyptic, actually.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
well, apocalyptic books sell.
Oh, yeah, maybe. No, I don't write it down. It will be too much hassle. But the ones that are important, then they just stay in my feeling, and I remember them very well.
Okay. Next song then is by the Eagles or Eagles, and there's no the in Eagles, is there? I love this song as well. So you've gone for "Take It Easy."
Yes, I have. I love the
Again,
song.
yeah, I love this song as well. I think from "Never Ending Story" by Lamal through "In This Shirt" by Irrepressibles to "Take It Easy" by Eagles, it's another vibe entirely. You've had like a sort of happier, kind of chirpier song and a more sort of maybe a little bit of a darker song, and "Take It Easy" is a bit more, you know, a
Lighthearted.
bit laid back and a bit light-hearted as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
where's the love of this song from?
Well, when I was 17, 18, I lived in the Spanish desert for a little bit with my ex-boyfriend. He was American. I lived with him and his mom there, and it was really hot there. And we always would used to drive his mom's truck, and she had, I think it was a CD or something in that car, and this song was just on repeat every day in that car. And I just loved the desert. I loved the silence there, and take it easy. So I listened to it a lot, actually, that song.
You still listen to it now?
I still listen to it, yeah.
What are some of your good memories of the desert?
Um, well, the ambience is really great. I came out of a really stressful period, and it's just so silent. I love the sound of crickets, and you had a lot of them there, and they just make this beautiful sound. And the wind would whistle, and just this oasis of nothingness. And for that time in my life, that was just perfect, wonderful.
The crickets, like that sort of any tumbleweed moments.
I haven't seen tumbleweed. I don't know if they have it in the Spanish desert, but it would be fitting.
Okay, so what happened? What happened to bring you back from the desert then?
Well, I was a little bit stuck there because I didn't have much contact with any of my parents or family, and I had a really bad relationship with that guy. Um, but I needed to find a way, anyways, to get back to Holland because I had no means of making money. And eventually, a friend's dad said, "Hey, you can come with your boyfriend and live in our house for a little bit." And they had this little attic, a little bit like where you're sitting now,
Yeah.
where we could sleep. But it was really cold in wintertime. Like you could feel the wind blowing through it, you know?
Mhm.
So it was a dire situation, but very lovely people taking us into their home. So yeah, I had to fight my way back out of there.
And how long were you in the attic for?
I think 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. And then what happened next?
I ended up working a lot and doing several things to just get some money. And I paid everything for my boyfriend as well. It was pretty bad because he didn't have a Dutch license anymore. So he couldn't really work. And the relationship was getting worse and worse. And at some point, I just had enough. I had enough of that house I rented there, enough of the guy, and I went to a theater group, and because I needed some connections, because I was only in that drug world with the bad people, and I did an audition, and I got selected to play with these people, and they just gave me a whole new reference because this, yeah, the perspective of what is all right and not all right. I put the guy back on the train to Spain, and he stayed there.
Said goodbye, and that was that. So how many different jobs? Tell us about some of the jobs that you did during that time, just to kind of make ends meet.
I ended up bartending a lot at this night bar called, translated to Weatherlight. It was a music bar, and I did the night shifts. I worked from 1 at night till 7 in the morning, and it would make pretty good money, so I could make ends meet.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, I do sculpturing. Like I make art, and I would sell some like necklaces and earrings as well. And at some point, I went into singing and organizing jam sessions. I made some money of that as well.
Jam sessions.
Yeah.
Very good. So whereabouts and how did Mystic Mind come about then? And tell us a little bit about it. What is it? How did it come about? What do you do?
It's a project, an ongoing project. It's not doing anything right now because I have always very many projects. But I figured I need my own website to do something with the workshops, the Wim Hof workshops. And I also wanted to collaborate with other people like yoga instructors so they could maybe advertise through my website later on.
Got you.
Yes.
I've got you. So is there anything that you have done under the Mystic Minds project yet?
Yeah, it's the name of my company actually, and I've given I think like 17 or 20 workshops now, Wim Hof workshops.
Oh wow. Okay. So how long have you been an instructor then? When did that happen?
I think for 3 years now.
For 3 years.
Or two, I don't really remember. I'm not good with time.
So just you told us about how you went out to Spain on the summer travel. That obviously gave you some direction in terms of healing, in terms of how to help yourself. At what point did you decide I would like to become an instructor? I want to help other people.
It wasn't very long after I did the Wim Hof method myself to heal myself because it just had such a powerful effect. I really couldn't believe what was happening. And it just removed so much of my pain. But also mentally, it just helped me and I gained so much from it. So I needed to share that with the world. Yeah.
Like it. So it was very quick, and it's interesting because a lot of people that I've spoken to have transitioned from being a practitioner themselves to wanting to feeling so passionate about it. And I can speak from personal experience as well, where other people can see how passionate about it that you are,
Yeah.
that they say to you, you should be teaching, you should be coaching people here as well.
Yeah.
I've got a question that's come in from one of our, I don't know if you can see that, from one of our listeners,
Ah, I
viewers.
see it, yeah.
Vicky's asking if you did Wim Hof in Spain in the heat.
Well, it wasn't that warm at the time I was there, but it was definitely not cold. But they arranged like these really big ice baths, and every morning the ice cube man would come and just fill them up with the ice cubes. And we did some other cold related activities. We went canyoning in really like uh, water in temperatures like 7 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
And we did have the scuba suit, but we would stay in that water for, I think, more than 5 hours. So
Wow.
it got pretty chilly at some point.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that I've not done, and I think that I would enjoy is canyoning. I've
It's so
seen it. Did you
beautiful.
enjoy it?
Yeah, and well, the first part not, because I thought it was really scary. I actually had a panic attack because we had to, you didn't have to, but I wanted to jump of big heights into the water.
Mm.
And we didn't know upfront what was going to happen because Wim Hofers always say it's a no program. So I maybe 5 minutes up front, I knew what I was doing. And because of my slight fear of the water, I was like, oh, yo, yo. But I had this really, really nice instructor called Bart, and he was swimming next to me. He's like, "You are having a serious, serious bad time," and I was like having a panic, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do. It's just so scary." And he's like, "Maybe you need to look around. It's really, really beautiful here." So I did that, and I was like, "Okay, you're right," and I had a great time after that.
Was that Bart Pronk?
Scholte.
Ah, Bart Sholden. Yes. I
Yeah,
don't think
love him. He's
I
such a
know that.
great guy.
Yeah. Wonderful. Okay. What would you say is an unobvious thing that you struggle with?
An unobvious thing.
Yeah.
I find it a difficult question because I talk a lot and I'm pretty open. So there's not much, I guess, my friends don't know about me. But yeah, I have an invisible illness, so that's something I do struggle with. Actually, my friend told me the other day, like it's crazy when you look at you look really healthy, but I have some like fibromyalgia, and I'm being tested now for, I don't know the English translation, but the Atlas-Danlos syndrome.
Say that again.
Atlas-Danlos. It's a thing that's with your tissue, that like it's kind of attacking itself. So I'm in the process of getting diagnosed with that. But it's very invisible, so people always think that you're okay, but I'm sometimes in like big amounts of pain because of it.
Okay. So an autoimmune disease in itself.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. And so I'm guessing that you've found some relief from this with the Wim Hof method.
Oh yeah, most definitely, because it inflames your body and your joints a lot. And as you know, the Wim Hof helps really good against inflammation. But it wasn't only the Wim Hof method. I think the community really inspired me to look at health in a different way. I started looking at diet and mental health, and like getting relief for traumatic situations you had in the past, like trauma therapy.
Yeah.
And all these things together are my healing journey. I don't think you can say there's this one thing that will help you. It's a search.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Resonates with me. I am. I've tried a lot of different things. Stopped drinking. Kind of changed environments. Again, looked at nutrition, exercise a lot more,
Yeah.
and very much embarked upon a journey of sort of self-discovery as well, in understanding how I have kind of behaved in the past, like you say, sort of bit of the what we might call the shadow work, the sort of
Yeah.
the deep work inside. So what would you say, what would you say has played the like the biggest part, aside from the Wim Hof method? And I know that the compound effect of making small changes and applying them
Yeah.
consistently
Yeah.
is kind of what brings bigger change. But
Mhm.
is there something along the journey outside of the Wim Hof method that has, um, I guess let's put it this way, that's complemented the Wim Hof method in a way to just give real additional benefit into your life?
Yeah, I think it is Wim Hof inspired because, as you know, most Wim Hofers they do like yoga and exercising, and I wasn't like that at all. If you would ask like myself 10 years ago, I would laugh at you if I would go to the gym or anything like that. But I think working out really helped me a lot. Yeah, training muscle, especially.
So getting fit.
Yeah, getting fit. Yeah, because
So
I think it's
how
to
do
your
you do it? Sorry, I missed that. Sorry.
I think it sends a signal to your brain like you want to become healthy and you're walking through this invisible wall. Sometimes with running, literally, you know, it's sending the good chemicals to your brain to tell your body, okay, we need to do work.
Yeah, it's one of the go-to for me if my mood is low, if my energy is low. It's that one of the very common misconceptions about exercise, isn't it? People think if I exercise, I'm going to be tired. Actually, you exercise, you're creating energy.
Yeah,
You're not.
you get this high, I would say, and you can continue. Like
Yeah,
when I'm feeling really demotivated or sometimes very sick, I just go do a workout. And it needn't be hard, you know. I mean, you can just go maybe 10 minutes on the, how you say this walking thing, you know, and just
treadmill.
run a little bit. Yeah, the treadmill.
Yeah,
And but just activate your system.
yeah, yeah, and release all those happy hormones. Create those chemical reactions in your body that send electrical signals around the body.
We need those.
Yeah, it changes your physiology, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we've got two songs left, and the next one is it's called "Diggin" by Kovacs.
Yes. Uh,
Uh, I like this song. I'm not sure I'd heard it before. So what's the story?
well, she's a Dutch artist, I think. So it's not weird you haven't heard her. It's not a very popular song. But I just musically, I love the song. And she really inspires me in my own singing because I sing a lot and I do improvisation singing. So when I go on stage, I don't have any lyrics. I just go into flow state and say whatever. And I think that flow state, she translated it into a song. I think it's just beautiful, rhythmically, yeah. Uh,
Rhythmically.
yeah, and the lyrics I think are about a woman trying to keep her own autonomy while navigating through life, and it can be very difficult because we're always trying to please others around us. And yeah, she's flicking through vinyl and feeding the rush. I love it. Yeah. It's like she's being happy on her own as well.
So if you were on the stage right now and you were in that flow state, and I know it's kind of difficult to just switch and flick into flow state,
Yes.
but if you were on the stage and you had that, maybe that song in your head, and you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking about women's sort of autonomy and like empowerment,
Yeah.
what would you say if you were like singing and the microphone was on you now? What would your message be to other women?
That's so difficult because I am a musician at heart, so I don't have any music here. But I think just stay true to yourself. and don't get distracted.
Don't get distracted. How do you avoid getting distracted?
I think by learning how you yourself work, because if you have no clue who you are, then other people are definitely gonna take advantage of that because you're easy to push around, you know. So all the information you can gather about who you are, and I think what you say, shadow work, is brilliant, because if you don't know where your dark part lies, it's so easy to manipulate you because you have this blind spot. So yeah, discover yourself.
Discover yourself. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, what's the most valuable lesson that you've learned about yourself in the last year? And why? And why is it so valuable?
Okay. I noticed, because of some things I lived through in the past, that I find it very difficult when I'm like in relationship with another person to keep my emotions with myself. I'm always like thinking about, hey, how can I help the other person? And I've been with a great guy a year and a half, and we decided now to split up and work on ourselves more, but we're still like really close, like best friends close. And what I discovered is I need to, it's very difficult to put to words, but like keep my energy with myself and not always try to go into fix it modes. I think that people who have jobs wherein they're like trying to heal people always have this tendency of like trying to help other people, but you really cannot help other people. It's a very big illusion, I think, personally.
I completely understand that. When I embarked on a journey to help other people, my wife said something very similar to me at the time, and it was almost exactly what you said. And she said, "You will be able to help other people so much more when you become the best version of yourself. So work
Yeah.
on yourself first. Be the best that you can be." Because if you're struggling, if you are in whatever area of your life that is, if you're struggling, if you're not in the right headspace, if you're not there physically,
Mm.
if you're on a journey of healing, and what I've recognized is we all are on a journey of healing.
Yes.
It never ends until it's over, right?
Yes. And it's also okay not to be okay sometimes. Not everything needed to be fixed in every instant of a second.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's such wise words that, especially in the line of work that that we do. So do you now do? Are you a Wim Hof instructor full time, along with the singing and the music work that you do, or is there something else that you do as well?
I think I have 6 jobs. I would say I'm a little bit of a hustler. I do everything, you know. So I'm not a full-time Wim Hof instructor. I actually don't have any workshops planned now, but I think I'm gonna do one in June again. So
Okay,
not full-time, but fully enjoying.
okay. What's your favorite hustle?
At the moment, making sculptures. Actually, I make sculptures with skulls.
Ah, okay. What
Yeah.
like what kind of skulls?
I have made one with a fox skull.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm working on a rat skull right now.
Okay, no human skulls then.
No, definitely not. That goes a little bit too far for me. But skull is a very interesting material because I find myself like I have this half of a skull, and I was kind of urging to like build a dragon underneath it or something, but it didn't feel right, not respectful to the animal. Because what I do with my sculptures, I kind of give them back to nature. So I work with like leaves and like dried flowers and all these things and crystals, and like when the material says no, it just doesn't feel good because this used to be a living thing. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, that's nice though. A little bit of respect. So that there's some Celestine prophecy in there, in kind of like feeling the energy surrounding it, almost like you're
Yeah,
dishonoring
exactly. the,
dishonoring
the
the
aura the aura of the object.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So what's your do you have a least favorite hustle? Is there one that you don't enjoy so much, but it makes money, so you kind of feel obliged?
I have a crazy one though.
Oh, tell us
I
that.
do some chatting online with guys on an adult website, but I have made myself the sexy therapist, and I just give them life advice instead of like unclothing myself.
So you get what's the you've caught me on the hop here. What's the craziest bit of advice that you've been asked for? You give life advice. So what's the craziest thing you've been asked as the sexy therapist?
Well, I had a Muslim guy who had some crazy fetish, but of course within his community that's definitely not culturally accepted. So he really had a deep struggle with this, and he felt so relieved to be able to anonymously talk about this. And because that's why I do it, because there's so many questions you cannot even ask a real therapist because it will be so shameful.
I understand. Yeah,
Yeah, so people share a lot of crazy things, but yeah.
great. Shall we move on to your final song?
Yes.
Because I've got a great question to go along with this as well. Because we've touched on your love of music and singing. So we'll maybe find out a little bit more about that. Were you going to tell us about Slave Mill by Damian Marley?
Yes, what a lovely song. I really that just touches on everything I believe is happening in the world at the moment. Like he sings about working a 9 to 5, just going through the same drill, and I think that's kind of how they want us to live, like fall in line. And yeah, the old slave mill is grinding slow, but grinding still. Yeah, that is just like slavery just has a different form now. Yeah, he's an amazing artist, and he has a lot of good songs. Also, it was written from him is also great for the listeners.
Yeah. So how do we change that?
Mm, I think the brain heart connection is a really important one because um, we ignore what we feel so much of the time.
So how important is it then to listen to our feelings and act upon them in a positive manner?
Hmm. Well, I think if you don't listen to your feelings, then ego takes lead a little bit. If you don't listen to your heart, I mean. And for me personally, that's a terrible way to live because you're always chasing status. And it's very tiring. And yeah, the rat race, trying to be the bigger, no, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, but ego, there's a big perception in a lot of in a lot of areas of the world.
I would say negative ego then. I know what you mean.
Yeah, negative ego. But I mean, it's so important to many people to be popular on social media, to be visible, to get the likes, to be, chasing the hearts, and it can be quite damaging, right?
Yes, it is. It is difficult because we expect then so much of ourselves, but most of the time it's not the things that actually make us happy. And for me, my biggest fear always was that people would find me weird because I'm into some crazy things, and I really had to say to myself, it doesn't matter. Just be who you are because otherwise I'm gonna live somebody else's dream, and I really don't want to do that.
Yeah, and that's problematic and leads to, lots more issues if you pretend to be someone and try to fit in crowds that are not in alignment with who you really are and what your true values are, right?
Yeah, that's the difficult one. They say they have a statement. how is it like before you visit a therapist, like look if you're not only hanging with assholes. I think that's great, because if you're in the wrong community, yeah, of course you're not going to be happy.
Yeah, but it's important, right? Environment is, like you said, community and connection is important, but environment is just as important. Not just, but in terms of like what you surround yourself with, what kind of, what you consume, and not just by like what you put in here, but what goes in here and what goes in here and what goes in here. That's all important, right?
Yes.
Very. Okay. Music wise. Well, in fact, it doesn't even need to be music. It could be anything. The things that you love most. What is your favorite sound in the whole world?
My favorite sound.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Crickets.
Yeah. The sound of the cricket choir, I would call it.
Okay. Why crickets?
I have no clue. It just gives me a feeling of being at home.
A feeling of being at home. Yeah, you mentioned the sound of crickets from your childhood, didn't you, as well?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I've got a couple more questions. Can you believe that we've been speaking for over an hour?
What, really?
Yeah. We've been speaking for over an hour. We've covered your 5 songs, but I've got 2 questions left. This one's just a little bit daft, but I'm interested because it's not the kind of question that you expect. So if you could just eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would one meal? You're only allowed to eat one thing for the rest of your life. What's it going to be?
Yay. That's difficult.
I know. That's why I asked.
Like, are you gonna go for sustainability? Do you want to live? Are you gonna go for short pleasure? I'd say Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
Yes. Which one?
Cookie dough.
Cookie dough.
Yes.
I would go fish food, but yeah,
Okay.
I've got a very sweet tooth. Yeah, I love that as well, because you kind of, one thing for the rest of your life. It's like you say, sustainability. Do you want to live? It's like, but I mean, I know brown rice is good for you, but I mean, if that's all I could eat for the rest of my life,
It'd be horrible.
No,
I
exactly.
think whatever you take is gonna be horrible after a day.
Exactly.
It
Yeah.
don't matter.
And I think even Ben and Jerry's cookie dough would probably,
It would be really nasty at some point. I mean, I get it for myself when I go through like a breakup or a rough patch. I keep it special, and I like to keep it that way.
yeah. Okay. In your years of life, if you were to write a book about your life, what would it be called and why?
Gold. That's a very difficult question. Hmm. I have no clue. This is too difficult. But
It's interesting though that because you just answered the question.
I have no clue, and that would be the name of my book. I think that would be a nice title for a book, actually.
Well, there we go. Nicky Hutzezon.
Yes.
I'm about there. I'm around about there.
Yeah, you're coming there. You're coming there.
Okay. Let me have one more question. Let me have one more question, because so we've had 4 Wim Hof instructors on the last 4 weeks.
Yes.
They've all been Scottish instructors. Well, last week's we had Lorraine McDonnell on, who's originally from Ireland but now lives in Scotland. You're the first of our European cousins that we've come on. We have another 2. Do you remember Alex our Serbian instructor, Alex.
Yes,
Jurovac.
I do remember.
So Alex will be hopefully joining us next week. And then Helena Hefte Wegner that did the Byron Katie chat at the instructor.
Yeah. Oh, she's lovely.
She is amazing. So she's
Yeah.
joining us as well. So if I can have one more question, because I love doing the podcasts. But if you could choose, if you could choose another instructor that you would like to see on a podcast, who would it be?
Bart Scholtussen.
Okay, I can't promise, but I know a man that knows him.
Okay.
No, but now I know a lady that knows him as well. So you never know, right?
I have his number if you need it. He'll be probably love to come on your show.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you so very much indeed. I have had an absolute blast chatting with you. I can only wish you all the very best of luck with your future workshops and all of your hustles in whatever they may bring. Thank you for coming on to the show. You're a wonderful human being, and I really hope that we will stay connected and maybe even collaborate at some point in the future. It would be wonderful.
That would be wonderful. Thank you for the conversation. I was really nervous up front, but I had a blast. So yeah, thank you for the experience.
I am so glad. For everybody that's watching or listening, thank you very much for tuning in. Until next time, Nicky, don't go anywhere just yet. But to everybody that is tuned in, thank you, and we will speak to you next time. Nicky, do you want to say goodbye yourself? Any parting words for everyone?
Any parting words? Enjoy life. Take some time for yourself.
I love it. Thank you very much, Nicky. Good night.